Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. seems to be narrowing his search for a running mate. One of his prospects for vice president, New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Now, CNN is learning tonight that in private conversations, Rodgers has shared conspiracy theories, falsely claiming the 2012 Sandy Hook shooting was not real. Back in 2013, when CNN's Pamela Brown was covering the Kentucky Derby, she met Aaron Rodgers. And Brown says in conversations with him, Rodgers attacked the news media, claiming important stories were being covered up. He then brought up the Sandy Hook shooting and said the media was intentionally ignoring that the shooting was, he claimed, an inside job by the government. Now, when Brown asked for evidence, he shared conspiracy theories that had been disproven. Rodgers falsely claimed to Brown that there were men in black in the woods by the school and asked if she thought that was odd. CNN has also spoken to another source who would like to remain anonymous in order to avoid harassment. They had a similar encounter with Aaron Rodgers. This person said Rodgers claimed that, quote, Sandy Hook never happened. All those children never existed. They were all actors. Now, Rodgers declined CNN's request for comment. But here with me now, former senior advisor for the Biden 2020 campaign, Alencia Johnson. Also, CNN political commentator and Republican strategist, Alice Stewart. I have to tell you, anytime there is a mention of Sandy Hook as a mommy, I remember my son had just been born, my oldest, and just how horrific it was and traumatizing for a new mother, for a human being, for the entire nation, let alone the families of those affected. Alice, when you hear this narrative that seems to keep popping up, particularly in political spaces, it's beyond.
Right. The Sandy Hook tragedy was gut-wrenching for all of us, and it's almost like it was yesterday. And I think of many presidential moments throughout our lifetime of president. One of the most compelling presidential moments was when President Obama was speaking about that in the briefing room, fighting back tears and choking up as he was talking about these children. It's a devastating tragedy, and we're still coming to terms with this. But to say this was some kind of a inside job and was not real is disgusting, and it shouldn't happen. And it's beyond a conspiracy theory. It is an outright lie, and it's an insult to the families involved. And I think for Aaron Rodgers or anyone to claim this didn't happen is disgusting and insulting. And so I think promoting that theory and that line of conspiracy, we shouldn't have any part of it.
I'm curious as to why he hasn't come out very vocally to say, no, that's not what I said, or this did not happen the way it's being relayed. I was expecting that to happen. Obviously, it's his right to either comment or not and on his own schedule, but it is stunning given his name is being thrown around right now as a potential VP pick.
Yeah, I mean, I have to think about who exactly is he trying to appeal to, right? Who is RFK trying to appeal to? There is
That's the question.
A faction of, I'll be honest, the Republican Party that believes in a lot of these conspiracy theories, that listens to the Joe Rogans of the world, who tout these types of conspiracies. And it's interesting because third-party candidates, as we know, aren't helpful to Democrats, but the path that RFK is going down with an Aaron Rodgers seems to appeal to a segment of the Republican Party base. And I'm also frustrated and troubled. I actually agree with you on the troubling comments from Aaron Rodgers.
That's the frustrating part. It's like, I'm frustrated and troubled. I actually agree with you.
Applause. I do agree with you. You know, Alice and I don't always agree on a lot of things, but I agree with you on how sick and vile it is for him to spout these conspiracy theories. I'm frustrated because at a time we know that gun violence is the leading killer of children in this country, right? When we should be having conversations around gun control, here's someone who is potentially a running mate, which that in itself I can't take too seriously, but is a potential running mate that is talking about these conspiracy theories and minimizing the impact that this is having on families every day in this country.
He's but one of the names mentioned. Another person is Jesse the Body Ventura, who, I'm from Minnesota. He was the governor. And, people can look down the nose for only so long until all of a sudden you're calling him governor, and you've got people like Tulsi Gabbard on this list, Senator Rand Paul, possibly Andrew Yang. Now, we don't know the extent of these conversations, if they're happening or who's taking it seriously as the recipient of a request. But I'll tell you about the polling here. He is consistently polling at 15% nationally. He is not going to be able to get a majority, obviously, win the presidency on that alone. But Do you think he presents a threat for either candidate in this rematch, Biden or Trump?
He certainly does. And look, those numbers are consistent across the board. That's not a snapshot in time. That is a trend. And this is in the key battleground states. He's also polling very well. Look, if I were to be a betting woman, we'll come back at the end of the month, my money would be on someone more like Tulsi Gabbard, who is a lot less toxic and polarizing in many regards. Look, I attended one of RFK Jr.'s events. I did a magazine article on him. His crowd is across the board, black, white, young, old, Republican, Democrat. He is going to pull from both sides. And the issues that he focuses on, that he's talked about, that he's promoting, talks a lot about homelessness. He talks about restoring the middle class. He talks about ending chronic disease. He talks about unraveling the war machine and getting corporations out of government. Those are issues that resonate with a lot of people. And he is out there making his case day after day. And I'll tell you what, this Aaron Rodgers and Jesse Ventura stuff is crazy, but from RFK Jr.'s standpoint, this is earned media. And this is what you do if you're not getting news, you're not making headlines, you generate something that will get people talking. We're talking about this tonight. And my money is not on Aaron Rodgers, but it is on the fact that they're using this as an opportunity to generate earned media and get his name out there. And we'll wait to see who he names as his VP.
Let me give you the quick last word, Alencia.
You know, that extremism, though, that he continues to paint out here. I hear you that he has different folks at his rallies, but we are in a primary where folks are saying, well, actually, we're out of the primary, but we're in an election where folks are saying they want some new energy, and so they're listening to ideas. But as they continue to listen to RFK, they hear the extremism, right? They hear the extremism on issues that they care about, particularly around healthcare. Him being a huge anti-vaxxer, I think, is a concern for a lot of voters. There are going to be a lot of issues that he continues to talk about, and I think as voters continue to get to know him, I don't think he would hurt Democrats as much as people think he would. I think he actually could pull from the Republican Party.
Well, we shall see. Ladies, thank you both.